Hey, and welcome. We're about to dive into something you use constantly without even thinking about it, a simple word. But what if one of those everyday words was actually a key that unlocks an entire, super simplified language? Well, let's find out.
Seriously, just take a second to think about that. Everything you need to say, your daily chats, your work emails, arguing about what to have for dinner. Could you do all of that with a vocabulary of just 850 words? It sounds pretty much impossible, right?
Well, it's not impossible. In fact, there's a whole system for it called Basic English. And the whole point was to build this incredibly efficient language for people all over the world to communicate clearly using a small shared set of words. And yep, that's the magic number, 850. Now, these words weren't just picked out of a hat. They were chosen specifically because of how powerful and versatile they are. The idea isn't to dumb things down, but to squeeze every last drop of meaning out of each and every word. So to really get how this works, we're going to put one of these 850 super words right under the microscope. And our word of the day is over. You know it, you use it, but I bet you'll be surprised by just how much heavy lifting this one little word actually does. So we're going to look at all the different jobs that the word over has. You can almost think of it as having multiple careers all happening at the same time in our grammar, and each one is totally unique. All right, let's start with its first job, being an adjective. When over is working as an adjective, its main gig is pretty simple. It's just there to let you know that something is done, finished, complete. You know, just like in this sentence, when the movie was over. Here, over just means finished. That's it. It's that simple. Job done. So that's one function down. Okay, but that was just the warm-up. Now we get to its main job, its primary career. Over spends most of its time working as a preposition. That's a word that shows you the relationship between other words in a sentence. And this, right here, is where these basic English words really start to show off. Just look at this. On the one hand, over can mean above, like he stepped over the dog. You immediately picture someone lifting their foot up and above the dog. But then it can also mean across, like in they went over the bridge. Totally different movement, right? One is vertical, the other is horizontal. Same word, two completely different pictures. And this amazing flexibility goes way beyond just physical space. It can jump right into the world of abstract ideas. For instance, in math, when you say 8 times over 2, you mean division. The word is connecting numbers now, totally changing its meaning for the context. And it doesn't stop there. Over can also tell people what to do. If you need to do it over, that means you got to do it again. If you have someone over, it means you're inviting them to your place. In both of these, this one tiny word is guiding our actions. Okay, so we've seen it as an adjective, we've seen it as a super talented preposition, it describes states, it builds relationships, it directs actions. But what if I told you that over could also just be a noun, a thing? Yep, that's right. Probably its most surprising job is when it decides to be a noun. It completely transforms from a word that describes relationships between things into an actual thing itself. And here is the perfect example. If you follow this sport of cricket, you know that an over is a very specific, countable event. It's a series of 6 balls bowled by one person. You can have 1 over, you can have 2 overs. It's a noun. A total grammatical leap for our little word. So let's just take a step back and pull all this together. How is it possible that one small word can be an adjective, a preposition with a bunch of different meanings, and a noun? Well, that incredible versatility, that's the whole secret. That's what makes a system like Basic English even possible. I mean, this table just lays it all out, doesn't it? From saying a movie is finished, to describing movement, to doing math, and then becoming part of a sport. The big takeaway isn't any single definition, but the sheer range this one word has. It's incredible. And that brings us right back to the beginning. This is how it works. This is the secret sauce of Basic English. You don't need a gigantic vocabulary if the words you do have are like little Swiss Army knives, each one packed with different tools for different jobs. So what's the bottom line here? What should we take away from this? Well, first, that a small handful of words can do a ton of work. Second, simple language doesn't mean simple ideas. You can still talk about complex stuff. And maybe most importantly, true linguistic power isn't about how many words you know, but about how flexible the words you use can be. And that leaves me with one last question for you. Now that you've seen the secret life of over, what other simple, super words do you use all the time? Think about words like get or run or put. If you start paying attention, you'll be amazed at the hidden power in the words you use every single day.